Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? It is Patrick Osman and Phil live with our first episode ever of Between Two Hats LFG.
You can decide what LFG means. My family God is what we're working on. So, but the other meaning's pretty powerful too.
The other meaning is so legit. You know what's interesting? How throughout the shift in generations, abbreviations are born.
Oh, 100%. And
you know what I mean?
The Urban Dictionary stuff, and you don't know what it means, and you're talking to your kids, in my case, and I'm saying things, and they're like, Dad, you have no idea what that means. You know, Riz is not cool. I thought having Riz was awesome, and they're like, Riz is kind of a creeper too. Like a guy with a lot of Riz can be kind of a creeper.
Yeah.
I'm running around thinking I'm the Rizzler, right? I'm the man. And yeah, I got shut down pretty heavy on that.
It's crazy, man. Like, and I say to Kiara that the type of father I want to become is I want to be in.
Oh yeah.
With what's in. Like, you know that outfit that you rocked the other night with the bucket hat? You had the Jordans on.
That's it.
You were like 25 all over again. You know what I mean?
And what's funny, so, and we can post some pictures of that later. I'll send some to you. I have that stuff because I buy it because I generally like know that I want to wear that somewhere. It's not truly costume for me because I'll see it like that tracksuit that I had on. Liz and I went out to dinner and I went into Forever 21 or one of those stores and I'm like, I need to get a jumpsuit for tonight. That's the kind of night we should have a jumpsuit for. I don't wear jumpsuits. So I bought that and then it lives in my closet till the next moment pops up when it's like, oh, this has to come out.
Love it.
And yeah, the hair thing, I'm headed to Vegas tomorrow for the night for just a day trip to meet some guys and have a little happy hour thing that's going on there for the NMHC conference. And the hairpiece and the blade glasses are making an appearance. And it's probably full tracksuit, hairpiece, and blade glasses running around Vegas tomorrow.
You've got a set, bro. Honestly, I'll give it to you. You have a set.
Oh, it's so funny.
Like,
I love it.
Considering you've got the bikie look, you know that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, you're bald, you've got the long beard. All you need is a Harley. Yeah. In 15 years, you're applying for a job at the mall at Santa Claus. Like, you got it.
That's right.
You've got that look, but the fact that you have the confidence to transition into different outfits and then embrace them.
Got to live it. Yeah.
It's the confidence, Phil, that makes you look good.
I appreciate that. I do.
You know what I mean?
I love it. I like to be me. And, it's, and as we talk a little bit more about how we got to where we're at and what we're doing, I was not always that way, like jokingly, or not jokingly, I should say, when people ask me, are you nervous and I'm going up on stage or something? I'm terrified. Like, I am a very shy person by nature, and I like to just do things around other people. I like to be a part of other people. And so, having forced myself, because I'm a social person, but I'm a shy person, that part of me has been able to come out. And, and it's fun too, because I get to meet people like you that then support it and your energy and who you are as a person, because I think you're fantastic. And, you bring something different than I do, right, to the table, different vibe or energy, but together on our frequency, we connect and it adds to others. And, I think that's the power of being authentic and being who you are, because, I've always talked to customers when I'm meeting with them. I'm an 80-20, maybe a 70-30 on some days. 70% of the people are going to dig me. 10 are going to be not sure. And, 20 are going to be like, that cat, I don't want to have anything to do with. And I'm okay with that. I used to drive me crazy. I used to try to be 100%. I got to please everybody. Everybody needs to like Philip Burton. And that's just not real, right? Now I can treat everyone well and try to present myself, so I'm not alienating anyone, but not everyone's I'm going to be their cup of tea. So that's okay. Used to drive me crazy, but now I'm okay with it.
Why did it drive you crazy?
Oh man, just all the human nature part of wanting to please and, be something to everybody. Right. And, it took a lot of years, I'm 53 now and that clarity came to the latter part of my life of you can only be who you are, and trying to be something to everybody, will tax you, take away your resources, drop you down to where you're not functioning on your best level. So I just kind of realized that I just got to be me, baby. And, the people that dig it, we're cool. And if they don't, then you know what? That's okay. I don't take it personally anymore. And I don't try to convince you to be a big fan of mine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I respect you for not being my fan.
Okay. Let's dive deeper into that. But before we do that, I'm going to introduce today's topic and today's theme, which is getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
I love it.
So it's quite funny that you got into that side of the conversation and I haven't even introduced the theme yet. So now that everyone knows what we're not talking about Jurassic Park right now, and we're not talking about logos of companies, or we're not talking about 24-inch rims. Today, we are talking about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. So, Phil, you would have had a period in your life where at some point you're a people pleaser. You're trying to please a bunch of personalities around you, trying to make everyone, not make everyone, but you're trying to have everyone like you. And then at some point you threw in the white towel and said, you know what, this is not sustainable. I'm a 70-30 or an 80-20 on some days. Now, walk me through at which point did you execute and how uncomfortable were you accepting the fact that you're not going to satisfy everyone?
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, it's something I work on today still. I still have to recognize that because, that human nature to want to be liked by people, right? And loved, if we're going to that level as well, is part of who we all are. And so even today when I interact, and I'm really good now at reading people and understanding body language, and I can tell when someone's in or they're out, right, for the most part. And when I pick up on those cues of, hey, maybe they're not digging, what I'm putting out, then I back off. The old Philip would have leaned in, like you're kind of joking about the biker personality. I'm a very sweet, nice person, but if I want to lean into something, I can. And I used to try to do that, meaning I'm going to show you what you're missing, man. You're not getting this guy. Come on. I'm going to make you like me. And boy, that never worked out. And it cost me probably some good relationships over the years. It probably cost me missing out on opportunities. So just being more aware of my surroundings and who people are and how they're picking up what I'm putting down, to steal all the cliches I can in this one conversation. And now it's become really fun too, because I can tell more clearly when someone's not into it, and then I can give them an out, and I can also say, hey, do you need me to dial it back? We're going to hang out all night, whatever. It's really more about being present for the people we're around, because I do love the people. We talked about this before, and you and I think this is why we connect. We do what we do not because of the money or the job itself. It's the people we get to meet doing it. I mean, would you agree with that? Like, I think you're like me there. You love the people.
100% I agree with that. If we removed people from the equation, the motivation to wake up every day wouldn't be there. Right? There's a reason why you and I are not developers and coders and behind computers, for 10 hours, not saying a word and just reading gibberish.
Data entry guys, right? Nothing against the men and women that do that hardcore.
No, of course not. No, every personality is different.
Yeah. That's not me, brother.
Yeah. And no, it's just it's the people, mingling with the people and the type of industry that you're in, and then what happens is that every industry actually builds its own little culture, right? Yep. And by the way, guys, we actually recorded an episode for Between Two Hats last week, but we had a major sound issue, so I technically.
This is 1.12 or whatever you call it. Like, this is our, and I love that you mentioned that, because I was going to say it too. Being
we're
authentic,
hiding nothing.
Yeah, being authentic and having fun.
Zero.
Pretend like this is our first podcast, and wow, how just natural it is to know that you were used to be a stockbroker. What? I didn't know that. Now, I didn't know it when we recorded our first call. Yeah. So the genuine surprise was there. But we're going to talk about things that we unpacked together on that first podcast. But yeah, we had some learning lessons on the microphone, hence why we have the fancy mics in our face now. And, just those fun trials and error. And I guess since we're talking about that, I got to share with you, Patrick. I sent the recording you sent to me, and this is so my nature, because I'm trusting, and this isn't about not, shouldn't have trusted, but just funny how this goes down. You sent me the recording. I didn't even listen to it. I sent it right to Kyra. and said, hey, listen to this. Cause I was excited because you and I recorded it. So in my brain,
It's
that's
great.
what it sounded like. It was perfect. What do I need to listen to it for? I just listened to you and I. And I felt like, oh, it was so fun. I sent it to her. She's like, I couldn't even get through the first 8 minutes because the audio is so bad. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so there's two things why I mentioned that is, A, the transparency, and B, I am notorious for just not checking stuff before I send it out, which I'm learning now in this world you and I are entering in. We probably have to kind of, measure twice, cut once kind of thing, because, if you send that to the wrong person, they might say, oh, this is awful. You guys don't know what you're doing. And for you and I, this is fun, right? I really, truly enjoyed that first, time doing it. And talk about getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. I had no idea what we were walking into. And then you and I just had a conversation and we look up and it's an hour later and it's fantastic. So
no, we had an absolute blast. I think it was a great experience initially, and it's only going to grow. It's only going to grow.
That's right.
And the thing is, and I'm sharing this not with you, Phil, because we've already spoken about this, but with the listeners, with this podcast, it's about anything and everything, right? There's no specific motive. It's more so if there was one motive that I would like the podcast to achieve for me personally, the motive would be that everyone out there in the industry that I work in, my friends, family, acquaintances, they get to know me better. And they get to know that I have a very close friend through the industry that I've actually started this podcast with. That's the people that I hang around. You're staring at him. You
100%.
know what I mean? That's what my motive would be. So if you want to do business with me, watch my podcast. You want to know the ins and outs of who I am, how fast I speak, how quick I make decisions, what my morals are, what my motives are in life. And I'm sure that, Phil, you'd say the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's doing this together with you, for me, is just another way for us to let people to see who we are, right? And this goes back to the 80-20, 70-30 thing. I work for a great company, Preferred Floor and Tile, love them, salt of the earth people. All the leadership is exactly who they presented to be when we first met. But we're not selling flooring. We're not selling Preferred Floor and Tile, the brand itself, that, it's a great brand. I'm selling myself to folks that say, hey, you can trust me. If you do business with me, you get this guy, and this guy is going to take care of you. And then by working with me, we work through Preferred Floor and Tile, and we get to do the job. We get the job done that you need done. And so, my partner, Yvonne, who is one of the most fantastic people that I've ever had the chance to work with or around or just actually get to know as a friend, brings exactly the same thing to the table. Her heart and soul is in the people. And,
Yvonne's so beautiful. I love that woman. Like, she is just, you
ridiculous.
Talk to her, she yells authenticity in the most quiet voice.
Yeah. Well, not so quiet sometimes. That's what we tease her all the time. But yeah, no, so she is, she's one of the most genuine people that I've got to know in my career. I've got great friends in my life, but, I met her through the business channels first. And it's so authentic and it's so real, and we get to just be us. And one of the things, and this isn't a, Love on Yvonne podcast, but we're going to do it for a bit because we get to butt heads too.
Yvonne, you're worth it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll spend a little time on you, honey. We get to butt heads, and when we do, it's so wonderful because we both are passionate about what we want. And at the end of the day, the thing we want most is for the person or the company or the thing we're working on to succeed. And so we get passionate about how we want to get there for the folks that count on us. And so it's been wonderful to do that with her and just be truly authentic to myself. With some companies, this is not a knock on anyone I've worked for in the past or with large companies that are, have a larger corporate structure, can't always be as free. They're not, even the folks that want to do that maybe can't because their structure down upon them isn't so good. So working for an entrepreneurial owner in David Stoffel, and working with someone like Yvonne, who's also an entrepreneur and part owner in the company, and just brings her heart and soul every day to the table is what we're selling. And that's what when I'm talking to folks and I meet with someone new, I don't have a pitch. I'm just like, hey, here's what we do. The function of what our business is this, which is pretty simple. We just install flooring. But you're getting myself and Yvonne and a whole group of other folks that think like we do. And so let me throw
you in the hot seat for a second.
I love it.
okay, there's a warm introduction that takes place, and you've got an owner operator. They got $25,000. They meet you for the first time. You're in a circle of friends, and this one person who is the primary decision maker in that business says to you, "So, what do you do?"
Simple answer, and this is not set up. I love that you asked me this. I make your life easier. That is my motto. I'll look at someone and I'll say this too. If we're not making your life easier by using us, there's no reason to use us. In my business, there are several large companies that do what we do, medium to large, very, very regional as well, mom and pops that are incredible at what they do. And if my value proposition doesn't bring something to the table that makes that person's life easier or their team's life easier, keep using who you're using. We do not subscribe to this idea that we have to come in and just because we have a relationship or we're meeting with you, that there's a reason for you to switch. There might not be. And so we discover that. And where that comes from too is doing exactly what you and I are doing right now. We talk to each other. We ask questions instead of, here's my 12-page pitch deck. And, on page 27, you can see we have installers and we install flooring. No, we're there to talk about us. And I think you're the same way here, just like in our communication when we talk about this podcast or, opportunities that you've got coming up and how I might help you and vice versa. We pick up the phone and we talk to each other, send a fun text, and we connect. That's all we're doing in our business is connecting with people.
Yeah.
And hopefully we make a difference, And,
do you know why? Do you know why connecting with people is so important? No, it's not that it's so important. No, that's not my question. My question is, do you know why connecting with people becomes the importance that it is?
Tell me.
Yeah, this is just my thoughts.
I love it. Yeah, I'm excited to hear this. This is the fun of what we're doing here. I get to know you.
Yeah. My answer is emotions.
Yeah.
For as long as human beings have emotions in them, the ability to connect reinforces those emotions to fluctuate. So let's say, for example, you and I are robots. We had no emotions. We're just pure conditional logic. Whether we connected every day or not, the same shit will happen between us.
Right.
But because we have emotions, now all of a sudden, my buyer's resistance towards you is lowered and my perceived value or my trust for you is increased. So it's like this. So you meet someone for the first time, right? Phil, did you know I used to own a sales training company?
So I didn't until we chatted, and even we were going to unpack that more when we first talked. But This is a part of you that I had no idea, but it makes sense in interacting with you, man. I can tell you have the right chutzpah or whatever you want to call it, the energy that comes forward. So I didn't know, but I do know. And now I'm excited to hear more about that.
There you go. Okay. So when I used to train companies, one aspect of the first 3 hours of the training session, I would talk about buyer's resistance. So you meet someone for the first time, anyone, I don't care who it is. Everyone has buyer's resistance completely high, okay, and buyer's acceptance completely low. This is a concept that I put together. This was a while back. This is like north of 7 years ago, something like that. So buyer's resistance is high and buyer's acceptance is low. So when you meet someone for the first time, would you ask them for business in the first 3 seconds?
I mean, you can, but it doesn't usually work out.
But it's not going to work out. Okay, now, why doesn't it work out?
Well, it's simple. You haven't built a relationship. There's no trust. You haven't had an opportunity to connect.
Okay, so opportunity, connect, trust, relationship, what that does, those 3 things, they lower buyer's resistance and they increase buyer's acceptance. When buyer's acceptance gets to a point where it's at a level where you see them, they're joking with you, they're showing you pictures of their kids, you guys are bonding, you guys have connected on at least 3 or 4 points. At this point, I'm not saying ask for business, but at this point, you've got the relationship to a point where it's in such a good place. On their birthday, you've gone out of your way to remember their birthday, not because you're trying to close the deal, but because you genuinely remember their birthday.
And that is the most organic way to connect with people, right? Because you genuinely, and again, shooting back to Yvonne, we were just talking about this after the holidays. I reach out to folks that I work with, and of course you don't get everyone because then it would become robotic, like you said. But I reach out to folks that I'm thinking of, and a lot of them are clients or folks that aren't even clients yet, but I've just interacted or met. and I genuinely want to wish them a Merry Christmas or a Happy Hanukkah or a Happy Holidays, whatever the thing is, and just say, I'm thinking of you, right?
Yeah.
And it's so real. And I don't know if I said this earlier or before when we first were talking, but people buy from people they like. That is the human nature of this business. And I stole that from John Daly, sales trainer from 30 years ago that I heard. And it's stuck in my head ever since. And that's what relationship selling is about for us. And, for me, I don't have to think about it from a order of operations standpoint anymore, because I just move into it. I meet someone, I get to know them, I figure out if there's a need, figure out if I can help solve that need, I'll make your life easier thing. And if there isn't, then I just met someone cool, and who knows where it goes. And we,
100%.
We don't have to be thirsty. We'll use some of our, is it Gen Z, right? Or are those the terms that people are using, like sus and thirsty?
I used to use sus when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah. We've been trying to, Kyra, who runs our marketing, and we can add a link to it for everyone listening, did a video of me doing all these like terms that obviously don't fit my age group, but we're trying to use them. And thirsty is one we talk about like actually daily, because being thirsty or being, not, it's the difference of being hungry. Thirsty is when you're desperate, right? And people are so turned off by it. And if you just show up and, and again, a lot of the terms that I use, I want to be clear to anybody listening. And if God forbid we get Chris Voss or John Daly or any of these big sales trainers who are these, large national programs, and you hear something that you've said that I'm saying, it means that, the greatest compliment I can give you is to rob and duplicate, because being a trusted advisor is a term that I use all the time. If I can't help you in your business right now, meaning, there isn't a need for you to switch your flooring company over to us, at least use me as a resource. I would love for you to pick up the phone and say, hey, we got this information from so-and-so, and it's not tattling. It's not trying to keep tabs on our competitors. It's just, this is interesting. I'm going to say this because this goes back to kind of the imposter syndrome and stuff we've talked about before. I'm an expert at what I do, and I don't say that with an ego. I've got 30 years, 25 plus years, really closer to 30 years of doing business in this industry and being a flooring professional. So I'm an expert at this part of the business. And in sales, because that's what I've predominantly done, I'm also an expert in relationship selling in my own world. And so I think it's okay to look at that in my own situation and say, I've got some influence there, and I know what I'm talking about. And a lot of the stuff that I've gleaned from these different books and things I've done over the years, and folks like you that I meet, is take their little taglines and just use the parts that work really well for me. And the trusted advisor is one that stuck with me a long time ago. Because really I'm giving back. I don't need anything from you, and I'm giving something to you, and maybe down the road we figure it out. Maybe it works out for both of us. So
yeah, I'll come knock on your door next Christmas, and I'm going to take that big Mr. Freeze thing that you got outside.
the Yeti. Yeah, well,
Yeti.
We'll cut to a picture.
I'm going to come and I'm going to say, listen, bro, all that advice I gave you, that Yeti, just load it in the truck.
Oh God, it's so fun.
You drove 3 hours to get that thing, didn't you?
I did. And it was like the last one in the Western United States. And and I know we'll post some links after the chat so you guys can see, but I'm sure you've seen it. It's the Abominable Snowman, the Yeti. It's actually the Abominable Snowman from those very old Burl Ives Christmas claymation or stop action cartoons. So it's the one from
they sold them at Lowe's, right?
Yeah.
Was that Lowe's?
Thanks to Lowe's, not a sponsor, but when you guys reach out, we probably will make you one. Go ahead and reach out to us, Lowe's.
Yeah. Hey, Lowe's Home Pro, they hit the SFR industry.
That's right. The best of the big box stores, Lowe's.
Yeah.
And so it's fun stuff like that, right? And sharing that with people, I think tying this back into work for you and I don't want someone to be tricked into doing business with me. Like,
what's the upside?
The upside to being what we're talking about?
No. What's the upside to getting tricked?
Oh, there isn't. Like
exactly.
If you trick someone into using you, it's like the Scooby Doo where they pull off the mask and you're the villain. They will invariably drop you. It'll be a short relationship.
Correct.
And we're in this as a marathon, not a sprint.
And by the way, in our industry is extensively small. So you make one mistake and it's a big mistake,
100%.
you're not going to be forgiven.
100%.
a big mistake like that anyway. There is zero upside to going talking shit to someone, trying to sell them the absolute dream so that you can go and get a signature on a contract, and all of a sudden, 3 months later, you lose it. What are you going to do in the 6th month? What are you going to do in the 7th month? What about sustainability?
Is your business heavy contract driven? This is fun for me to kind of check you out too, because I don't know a lot about your business, right?
Yeah.
Do people sign contracts to do business with you?
It's a terms of service document, but
Okay.
there's a 30-day exit.
Okay.
So we're confident with what we do. But yeah, that's sort of where it's at right now.
It's so wild in my side. We have no contracts. You know, if it's new construction, build to rent for the BTR folks, there's contracts because you're purchasing material in advance. There's schedules and timeframes to hit, and you got to store that material. Everything else in our business is day of service. You know, we stock material in the hopes that you're going to choose us and use us. Now, we have great conversations up front. We get good forecasting, you hope, which, you know, the customer, the client does their best to tell you what it's going to look like.
The word hope in business can be scary.
I know. Yeah, hope is not a strategy, right? And so, but we have millions of dollars of inventory that we have out for folks in the hopes that they continue to use us. Yeah. And so it's a scary business to be in because you have a lot of exposure, a lot of opportunity for failure. But when you make it, it's very rewarding because it is a relationship side.
But bro, look how much hope you guys have in the industry. Think about that.
On it.
Think about that. You're actually putting beyond skin in the game, right? In stock. It's going to get sold. That's like, let's say, for example, someone wants to cancel tomorrow. I'm sure at some point it will get sold, but you're disturbing your P&L, hoping that the fulfillment is going to take place.
That's it.
And that the strength of your hope is governed by the quality of your relationships, Phil. Yours and your bonds with the industry.
That is
right.
I love that we're going down this road too, because you know, this is getting inside baseball for us. My job is to say to the folks that I answer to, Yvonne and David and you know, JJ, our CFO, that what I'm telling you is real. Now they can't vet it. They've got to trust when I say to them, and I won't use certain clients' names. I think as we get more into this, I'll make sure certain folks are okay with me, you know, dropping their name because they've got long-standing relationships with them. But
yeah, it's their privacy. You want to respect their privacy.
Yeah, I just want you just for fairness. So, but you know who you are. I have to go to Yvonne and say, hey, so-and-so said that we've got a real opportunity here. And, you know, I think we need to ramp up stocking some material because it's going to be this, and then it's going to turn into this, and this, you know, 3, 6, 9 months. Yeah. And they are writing, you know, checks and real money's going out the door to bank on the fact that my relationship is strong enough with that person that what they're telling me is accurate. And they trust that I know to vet that enough and to feel that relationship. And so, for me, there's a real trust, obviously, that goes into these relationships that is something I protect to all ends. You know,
so you should.
Yeah, right. You get it
because you earned it.
Absolutely, and you want to protect it. And it's no difference in your business. I'm sure you have folks that when they call you up and say, "Hey, you know, we're interested in expanding into this market," and you've been doing business with them for 8 years, and you know that their word is as good as it can be. Now, everything can change, though. To your point before, they might have the best intentions there. Every plan, every pro forma they've run shows that modeling is going to work, and they're going to be in that market. And then something changes, and they're out.
Yeah,
and that's okay. That's the cost of doing business. But knowing that you've developed that level of relationship with people that you can take it to the bank, so to speak, and make those moves and being nimble. This is an entrepreneur, man, and I kind of want to unpack some of your history in the past, because I know talking before, you and I've shared some very similar paths to get to where we're at. But you get burned and you don't forget it, and it's hard and it hurts, but you have to have a short memory, because you can't let the sins of the past stop you from taking advantage of the opportunities for the future.
There's a reason why scars stay on your body.
Yeah, it's very true.
They stay there to tell a story. And from that story, you better learn from it. Otherwise, another scar is coming your way.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the good people in our business, or in any business, recognize those scars, to your point, but don't let that become armor against moving forward, and trust.
Scars represent skill and experience.
Yep.
Right?
I love that.
I remember I was 23. I was 23, and I had just launched my company, the Sales Training Academy, and I had launched my first book, and I'm doing content online and all that good stuff. I'm an entrepreneur at this stage, so I've got like $0, close to it anyway. I had like, I don't know, maybe 3-4 grand from my previous job in savings, and I was down to my last $700. And I remember I got a call from an insurance company in Melbourne, Australia. They said to me, "Hey, come out for a meeting. Would like to hear your pitch." And for me, like, that call is I'm celebrating at this point. I'm 23. Like, I haven't closed the deal. I haven't received any money, but someone called me. They're interested. I'm celebrating. So I go and I pay for my flights. That $700 that I had was all I had to contribute to. Was just enough, sorry, for the flights and the accommodation for one night. I had no money for food, no money for anything else. So I'm going off endorphins at this stage. I fly in. I'm super excited. I've told my parents at this stage, I got a meeting, got invited to a meeting, and I feel really important at this stage, So I get there and I realize, shit, what am I going to eat? Got no money. And I had too much pride and ego back then to reach out to get some funds from my dad. So I didn't eat for 2 days. I literally drank hot water from the kettle just to suppress my appetite. But I invested everything I had into this one meeting.
That one opportunity.
Right? Now, that was my first, one of my first ever clients. My first ever actual client was closed in California, but this was another one. And I ended up doing business with them, but I will never, ever forget the fact that I was willing to put my body on the line, my everything on the line, and the clients saw it.
They
saw
feel it. They know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was pitching. When I pitch, I'm unconsciously competent to the point where I don't know how good I am. And you're the same, right? And it's because
because you're being real. It's because you're being you. It's not really a pitch, right? Like, and for people listening, we say these terms in sales, pitch or whatnot. It's not canned. That's the term that I want to avoid. These aren't canned sales pitches. And that works for some businesses, but you're just being you in a moment of clarity, right?
I see where you're coming from. And yes, okay, so the reason, I'm assuming the reason why you said what you just said is because the word pitch has a negative connotation. Is that correct?
Not to me, because I get it. I'm in the biz. I think
to the industry
and sales pitch. Yeah, because it's like,
yes,
your solar guy knocking on the door saying, here's my script. I'm reading from a script. I guess that's the word to avoid is script.
Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. I think the positions that we're in and the products that we're selling forces us to not do business the way a cold caller does business.
Sure.
You with me? If you and I were banging out, knocking on doors, selling solar, it'll be a whole different ballgame. I mean, I don't know, man. If I was to go out right now, today, this second, and go and sell solar, I'm very confident I could do it.
I wouldn't enjoy it, but you could do it.
No, I wouldn't enjoy it at all. Hey, Phil, I've got a story to tell you about door knocking. Can I share it with you?
I love it.
I was 20 throughout my entrepreneurial startup life, 23, 24.
This is in Australia, by the way.
This is in Australia.
Okay.
I went to China and I manufactured motivational pillows. Okay. So you put these on your bedside, and the logic behind them is that the last thing you see before you sleep is positive, and the first thing that you see when you wake up is positive. So I started slanging these motivational pillows. Long story short, I'm selling them online on Facebook, and
with sayings on them.
Yeah, there was quotes. Quotes.
Oh my gosh!
One of them said the best seller was a religious one. It was, Jesus will not let me fail.
It's pretty powerful.
So some people looked at that and said, oh, but the word fail is negative. I'm like, yeah, but the will not has so much more power than that. So, so that was like a top seller.
You're leading with Jesus. That's pretty good too, right? Yeah.
Nah, that's the foundation.
Yeah.
That's the foundation. And the will not determines the direction.
For sure.
Anyway, so I'll sell them online, and I had my business partner at the time, Alex, which we had a falling out at some point, but now we're closer than ever. And anyway, long story short, me and him, I said, Alex, let's go door knocking. He's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, dude, let's go and try to sell these pillows door to door. And I was like, you know what? It's not about the money we're going to make. It's about the story that we're going to have.
Fantastic.
So we went, bro, 2 hours. We're banging and my fingers are going blue. People are swearing at us and this and that. So finally I get to this one house, 2.5 hours in. We're walking with these pillows, the actual pillows in our
You're
hand.
carrying them with you, of course. Got your
I
product.
knock on this guy's door and I just lean on his door frame and he opens the door. He said, what's up? I said, hey, bro. I said, you don't know who I am. I said, but before I tell you what I'm doing, I want to ask you an honest question. He said, sure. I said, what's your perspective towards these pillows? If you saw these in the store, would you buy them? He's like, yeah. I said, which one? He said, this one. I said, why? He said, because it looks nice, and I'm religious and so forth, so forth. So I just grabbed basically all my pitch, threw questions, made him do it, and now I just asked for business.
That's it.
That was it. And I said, perfect. You know what, bro? I got a sale today. It's 2 for $30, but you're going to get 1 for 20. You're going to get, 2 for 20 because no reason. You're just my first sale of the day.
Just my guy.
I gave him 2.
Yeah.
He gave me cash. I high-fived Alex. We went home until today Alex brings up that story.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
the foundation of that is so powerful for where you're at today and who you are. And it's so interesting too, because our experience in our life is very similar. The more you and I talk, I have a similar story. I have stuff that I've done like that. And if you've never done it, it's like being a vet, right? If you've never served, you don't know what it's like to have bullets whizzing across your head and cracking above you. You can only see it on TV. And those of us that are in sales, knocking those doors, it's a hard road. And to have those wins and those feelings, you hang on to those your entire career.
Yes, 100%.
Because it really is like tying back to what you said before, it's emotional. What we do is, especially when you're connecting with people, you have to be vulnerable. You have to connect. And I think in this case, you were just trying to just be real and feel this guy out and see what he really had to say. And then you realize that's working, because
I wasn't trying, bro. I was.
You're not.
I was at my wit's end. I got beat up. Every other customer knocked me up.
Yep.
Knocked me out, sorry. So I used this guy's house to lean on, and I just asked him an honest question. Bro, do you like my pillows? Yes or no?
I see it. I see it all the time, man. And when we're out at these events, like for instance, if you take someone out to a dinner, or if you're at a happy hour, if you got someone in a situation where it's sort of they're captured kind of because they showed up to an event, I watch the rookies and even some of the people we call veterans make this mistake where they just start hammering these people about business. They're not there for that. You can ask them great questions. I think you and I talked about this before. We want to get to know you, not what you know. Like, I don't need to pull all this information from you. I want to get to know who you are as a person. And maybe we'll end up doing business together. Maybe we won't. But I'm here to actually get to know you and enjoy you. Sporting events.
If everyone adopted what you just said, our industry would have honestly so much more stronger relationships.
It's the power. And, if anyone in the flooring business is listening, don't do this. Do the opposite of what I say if you're my competitor. But
I agree with that.
Yeah,
competitors.
As our competitors, everything we're saying are lies.
Correct. Take Phil out using the opposite of his strategies.
I want to see people have fun. And when you bring them somewhere to enjoy, I look at it as it's an opportunity for them to find out if they're the 20 or the 80 or the 70 or the 30 with me. And that's their chance to kind of figure it out. And, Yvonne, bringing it back to her, because she's, the person I talk to the most about this stuff internally, is it's okay to go to an event, a dinner or whatever, and never talk about what you do. Because when you follow up with that person, invariably, if they like you or you connect, which hopefully you do, they will say, hey, why don't you give me a shout next week and we can talk about the business part or what you do. And you follow up, and that's when you get your opportunity to do the pitch, as we said before, or give them the needs-based selling. Here's what we do. Here's let's find out if we need to support you in some way.
Yeah. It was funny. We were at your house. I'm not going to mention the person that I spoke with, but there was someone from the industry, and I'm not mentioning it out of respect for them.
Yeah.
But there was someone in the industry at your house at the time, and we started talking, and I realized, before I get to the juice, say me and this person are talking, and they gave me a bullshit personality, and they told me that they're your neighbor.
Oh yeah, what they were doing there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
So that was your neighbor. And then I'm like, cool. And I'm at this point, like, it's for me, I just landed from the airport, dude. Like, I want a bourbon. I want you were
Right.
cooking some steaks. Like, I'm chilling. I'm not in business mode. Not that business mode is something I need to activate, but I wasn't sort of, okay, with prospects, right?
You're not hunting, right? We use
Animal.
these terms. You're not hunting. You're just relaxing.
Yeah. So I'm talking to this guy, we're talking, and he's like, oh, I'm Phil's neighbor. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like,
Yeah, living next to this
you
cat,
must deal with a bunch of crap from Phil. And
that
and
hillbilly.
then I started asking him questions about his career and what he does, and he's talking shit. He's lying to me through his teeth. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm a developer. I acquire properties, and I'm like, no way, me. Like, I used to do that. Like, I owned a real estate company on the Northeast, and I start getting into the weeds. And he stops at some point, and he's like, bro, you're just too good. He's like, I'm talking shit.
Yeah.
I can't answer these questions.
I'm going to be honest with you. Here's who I really am. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you
Isn't
could have
that
just said that from
funny?
the start.
I mean, again, this ties into everything we're talking about. That trust is so powerful. These are folks, and you have them too. You just happen to be at my house for this dinner. These are people that are my friends, and we happen to do business together, and some we didn't. But
Yeah.
putting everyone together in a social environment, like with my family, getting people to see, here's who I really am. Here's who my kids are. Here's my wife. Here's the other people
That's huge,
that
bro.
I consider friends. You,
Yeah.
the other folks that were here, and it's a safe place, right? You don't have to be bombarded with who you are, what you are, and I know who we're talking about is very guarded, because a lot of companies, and I respect this, there's a lot of big companies out there that don't want their folks fraternizing or going to the dinners and going to the happy hours,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's I respect it and I understand it. It's also it's a slippery slope, because to our point, what we were talking about before is, how else are you going to get to know somebody unless you're in a social situation, right? Because sending him an email, sending him a deck, having a Zoom call, you lose all of the personal stuff. And so breaking bread with someone, having a dinner, going out for a drink, going out for a coffee, just being social is a really good way to connect. And then you can decide if this is somebody I want to do business with. And yeah, I've been so fortunate to put myself in a situation where that's my job, right? I get paid by a really strong company to go out and just meet people. And then hopefully,
Bro, you're so blessed.
yeah, we
We
are.
are so blessed.
We really are. And, and it's fun. I truly enjoy it. And for me, it's funny. It's probably like the CFO of our company, who I really respect. He and I, it's like speaking French to a Russian. He loves getting into the finance and the data and the deep weeds of the numbers and the spreadsheets and creating pivot tables and all the stuff that I'm sure he does every day. To me, that's like nails on a chalkboard. Me going out to a happy hour, walking into a dinner where I know nobody, and I've got to figure out who's who and what's what, and figure out what's good for us to be, and who should I talk to, and who's the most interesting, and all the fun stuff we get to do when we're there. To him is murder. He would
Oh,
jump out the
100%.
window. He doesn't want to do it. I mean, he would literally say, no, I'm not going to go do that. And have a team of folks together too, that we all complement each other in that way. Because I really enjoy what I get to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But flip the script. You jump in his seat and you stare at his spreadsheets and the functions and the different variations and the different formulas.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
No,
I
I get
can
it.
do it. That's the fun
Yeah.
part. Like, I can sit in and play CFO, not to his level. I'm not taking any power away from folks that really do that as a profession. I could sit there for a while and do it, maybe get it done, maybe survive, but I would never make it. I would never excel like he has in his career and who he is as a person. I've found the niche for me where I really can excel. And I think it too is part of loving life, right? Like, I'm a person I'm an enthusiast for life. I love it. Good, bad, and ugly. I take the good with the bad.
Love that sentence so much, bro.
It's huge.
I love that sentence so much.
And I think
we
other
can
people
get
pick
into
up on
such
that.
a whole nother conversation right now, bro.
Right? Isn't that fun? Like, just being an enthusiast of life and experiencing it the way I do puts other folks in a good position to say, hey, I want what's going on over there. And then we get to have a conversation, and everybody has their different levels of, comfortability, tying it back into our theme for today. getting comfortable being uncomfortable is putting yourself out there in that situation and being vulnerable.
Look,
Not everybody is.
I want to cap. I would like to cap our podcasts at 1 hour.
Okay.
Right. I sometimes if the conversation is really good, then I'd say let it flow. I don't like rules, but I do believe that I think that 1 hour should be the sweet
Yeah,
spot.
it's perfect. Yeah.
So on that note, we've just hit 45 minutes. Okay. And it feels like 10. On that note, I want to double down. Okay. And just throw some, I think you and I are perfect examples of being, so wait, it's a tongue twister. Being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
There you go.
I think you and I are great examples of that. I would like for us to share with the audience some examples of what we've done in the past to prove that we put ourselves in an uncomfortable situation to then become comfortable, right? Or we became comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So we forced ourselves. So why don't you go ahead and share a story, bro?
Yeah, I'd love to. And, I might meld a few stories together because I do them all the time. Like I said before, I'm actually a shy person. I get nervous. People see this persona, which is really who I am. The cowboy Phil, the Jordans, the stuff, the fun jackets that I wear. Yep. That's really who I am. But it kind of works as a suit of armor, right? Because it gets to lead and I don't have to I can kind of be more flexible and be me and have a little more fun, which pulls me out of my shell a little bit. But I force myself to do the things that I naturally don't want to do, aka being a moderator on a panel, which I was just at the IMN show in December. Yeah. That is the last thing I wanted to do. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. And you probably would love it because your structure, you would have all of your questions, you would have everything lined out, how you were going to ask them. To me, that is like the last thing that I want to do is have something to where I have to manage a flow of structure to get through to the end. By moderating and making sure all the boxes get checked, that I asked the 7 questions that this guy needed and the 6 guys for this gal, questions for this gal. To me, that's like planning overload in my head and I'm freaking out. But I said, I have to do it. I can't just be a panelist because I can do a panelist thing in my sleep. I enjoy it. I have to be a moderator. And up until I walked up on that stage, I was like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? Can I get out of it? Maybe I can fake an injury. Maybe I can have someone, I can say a child is sick, all these horrible things going through my head that people would have to believe. And as I'm walking up, I swear to God, I'm not making this up. To the moment I'm walking up to the stairs to start the panel, these things are going through my head like, what if, or how do I get out of this? And then it's showtime, and it's one of the best experiences I've had. I had so much fun doing it. And, many times before when I was asked to go up and present an award at a show or do something, it would be the same feeling. I would just be like, why did I do this? Why did I do this? I could have just said no. And I invariably every time put myself out there, and I'm so glad I did. And I think that's where the strength comes, little by little, I get stronger at it, but
strength comes after you try it.
100%. And failure is okay too. I'm sure. My biggest fear, and probably on this podcast too, we've got the edit button at some point, but I can let it rip. And I'm always afraid I'm up there and I'm going to say that thing, that's so bad that they're going to like, oh, there goes Philip. He said the thing we all thought he would say.
Excuse me, you're a Trumper.
I know.
So that you've crossed the line already.
I know, 100%.
The line's crossed, bro. There's nothing else you can say. There's nothing else you can say that can jeopardize you. No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Yeah. No. So that's the fear, man. And that's even with this podcast, brother, being on here is so fun because we're just putting it out there, and there's no, it's just okay for it to be so real, right?
Why would it not?
Well, you do I want to hear your experience. By the way, we don't have time if we're going to cut this off at an hour, but getting to know what your real history is. I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but you're chasing down Jordan Belfort and heading down that path. And, for those folks that are listening that don't know who that is, Google it, Wolf of Wall Street. Patrick was knocking on that door, and, not many people have that experience nor knew that that's what they wanted to go do the way you were attacking it. Right. So tied back into what we're talking about, tell me how you take this topic, get comfortable being uncomfortable. What does this mean to you?
I don't think I'll share the Jordan Belfort story shortly, but I don't think I found that situation uncomfortable. Okay.
See?
But there was a situation in my life where I was around 25 years old, and I was hanging around a bad crowd. And this was back in Australia. And at this point, I had won the Toyota contract for Australia and New Zealand. Bro, I'm 25 and I'm making 500 grand. Like, this is huge. Anyway, long story short, I was hanging around not the best crowd. And then one day, I said to myself, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing, dude? Seriously. So you know what I did? I emailed Toyota saying I'm moving regions. I'm no longer able to support Australia and New Zealand. I'm moving to the Middle East. This is all bullshit. This is all bullshit. I'm moving to the Middle East. That night, I booked a flight to Dubai. And I landed at Dubai at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I had nothing. Zero. But this was an example of where I forced myself to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Because I needed to get out of the situation that I was in. So I landed at 7 a.m. I had my suit. I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I was standing on the side of the curb. I had a cigarette. I said, all right, it's go time. Start knocking on doors all over again. Repeated history. Bang. Knocking on doors, knocking on doors, knocking on doors, knocking on doors, knocking on doors. Which, Phil, I didn't tell you this. This ties back to my Jordan Belfort story. So while I was at the Jordan Belfort conference, when I upgraded, I'll tell you the story now. I upgraded. I was on general admission for $1,000 and VIP was $2,500. I upgraded because I noticed.
Why you upgraded? I love this. Like you had a plan.
Yeah. So when I was up there, I saw Jordan Belfort walking around the VIP guests, and I'm like, dude, like, screw this conference. Like, if I can get close to this guy, then I'm going to go ahead and ask him for a job. So then I upgraded for that motive, went downstairs at 9:04 a.m., and then he walked past me, 10:30 intermission. I went up to him. I pitched him. Hey, Jordan, this is me. I'm Patrick Osman. I'm the man. I'm the guy you need. You need to hire me, blah, blah. Long story short, he liked the pizzazz. He liked the tenacity. He hooked me up with his manager and so forth. So then we got that show on the road. While he was at that conference, he said, I think it was the second or third day, he said, such and such in the third row, can you please stand up? And it was this guy who represented the royal family from Dubai.
Oh, wow.
Now, this was 6 years later. I'm in Dubai. I've remembered this guy's name.
Oh, that's amazing.
I've emailed him trying to raise capital 2 or 3 times.
Sure.
I've never heard a response. I'm in Dubai, Phil. I swear to God, I'm at a coffee shop. I look at him, swear to God on my life. I cold called his office. He wasn't there. I'm at a coffee shop and I see him.
Amazing.
I look and I point like this.
Yeah.
And my words were, you can't get away.
So, yeah, he's immediately like, where's my security? Yeah, who's my stalker?
I said, you can't get away. He starts laughing because he knows me. At this point, I got a sales training company, and he rejected Jordan Belfort because Jordan would swear on stage. In the Middle East, you can't swear.
Yeah.
So he rejected Jordan for that reason, and then he was seeing my videos and my content online, and I saw him engage. So I pointed at him. I said, you're not running away. Long story short, he said, come to my office. We go to his office. We close and shake hands on a deal. I'm 25. We shake hands on a deal. Bang, 100 grand. Let's go. I want to train your staff. It's going to be a 1-week program. And then I got up and I looked around the office and I'm like, this place is pretty neat. I turned around and I ripped up the contract that we just signed, both of us. He's like, what are you doing? I said, see, the problem is if I go ahead and provide you the training that you want, I don't trust your staff that in 3 weeks that they're going to keep doing it. And then you're going to turn around next month and say to me that I'm crap. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to move to Dubai. I'm going to live here. And I'm going to work for you full time. You're going to grab that number, you're going to times it by 3, and I'm going to start next week. He shook my hand. My life changed for the next 3.5 years.
Unbelievable.
That was it. I swear to God. I swear to God on my life, I never went to Dubai with a plan. I'm not saying planning is a bad thing. Planning is great. Fail to plan to fail.
No, but you knew, you followed your gut. You just knew you needed a change. You needed to get out of the
needed a
rut.
change,
It
Phil,
wasn't
bro.
rut, but it was the wrong hamster wheel you're running in, right?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a trip. And by the way, that's where I met Kiara.
No kidding.
Do you know the Kiara story?
I don't. See, this is why I'm so excited about this. Like, you and I got to know each other hanging out, but now
You
I'm
don't
getting
know
to
the
know
Kiara
you.
story?
I don't.
I get a message on Instagram one day. Okay, I'm a bachelor. I'm 27, whatever it is. I'm enjoying my life in Dubai. I've got a sales team of about 15. We're doing north of 15 to 20 million in gross revenue. I've taken the company from 2 million to 20 million. Everyone's great. Deployed new processes. We're having a blast. Long story short, I get a message on Instagram one day. It's this random Australian girl named Kiara. She's like, "Hey, I'm from Australia. The girls from Sydney told me that you live in Dubai and that you're from the local area. I've got no friends. Can you be my friend?" I
And
said,
she's
"Sure,
in
dude."
Dubai.
She's moving.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm like, "Sure, dude. No problem." I didn't think anything of it. Long story short, I pick her up one night for the first time. I'll take her out for dinner. "Hey, dude, what job you got going on? What's happening?" We keep staring at each other. She's like, "You look familiar." I said, "You look familiar too." I said, "Where did you work?" She's like, "I used to work at this restaurant and this and this and this." And then she mentioned a local cafe next to my house in Sydney, Australia. She said, "I used to work at Savannah's." I said, "Oh my God, I remember you." She said, "What?" I said, "Do you remember the group of 5 guys that would come and smoke cigarettes in the corner table and we would try to pick up all of you girls and you were the one that was rude to us and you rejected us the whole time?"
That's amazing.
And she said, "That was you?"
Oh my
She's like,
gosh.
"I hate
Did you
you."
have hair back then? Did the hair go
I
away?
didn't.
What
I
was the
was
difference?
bald.
Okay, bald.
She's like, "I hate you." I'm like, "You were a bitch, not me."
Oh no.
And that was it. And then from there, we knew each other 10 years ago. And then we reconnected in Dubai. We didn't know each other by name. And then a couple of years later, we got married, dude.
That's amazing.
Is that insane?
I love that because, you know, universe puts us in places for the right reasons and at the right time. God, faith, universe, whatever you want to call it. Those moments happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is at the time you were acting like a fool, maybe doing whatever you were doing. She's like, "I don't want anything to do with this guy."
Correct.
You were
I was
changing your
18,
frequency.
dude. 17.
You're moderating your energy to be in the right place to then accept what it is around you. And
Yeah.
also too, and we can get in this in later, conversations, but ascending versus descending, right? In our lives, when you're ascending, when you're getting rid of all the weight and all the gook out of your life, the bad people, making good changes like you did to go to Dubai, even walking away from money, you start ascending. And when you're ascending, people gravitate towards that. They want a piece of that. And they don't know why.
Yep.
They just want to be around it.
Yep.
And that's how you start to surround yourself with really good people.
It's probably because they're not in a good place. Subconsciously, they know it. And they see that you are, and they want some of that positive
change.
energy.
Or they're also ascending too. If you got two folks that are heading on that path, then that's where the real connection, the beauty comes from, brother. That is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, man, that was quite a journey. Yeah, COVID hit, lost our jobs. We launched a startup. We sold it, brought the money over here, invested in real estate and a startup over here, failed. And then we got into the utility connection industry and then launched Utility Valet. That's a very fast version.
So crazy.
Super fast version. But look, ladies and gentlemen, life is about fighting through whatever challenge comes our way. You think about going to the gym, Phil. When you're at yoga, your muscles are shaking, yes or no?
Oh, 100%. It's the most humiliating thing in the world if you let it be, because you're completely vulnerable and spent. You've given all you've got, and you're trying to give more.
But what I'm getting at here is that for you to get the elasticity and the flexibility you're looking for, you need to put your muscles through stress. Yes or no?
Keep pushing.
Which means you're making your muscles uncomfortable.
Yep.
Right? That's it, bro. And that's the trick. That's what I think the trick is. The trick is fighting the uncomfortability and hitting it head on. Don't run from it. Run to it. I actually seen something online where it was like buffaloes, when they see a storm, they run towards the storm so that they can fight through the storm, whereas cows run away from the storm.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe in that. The human or like animal nature, to run towards something, right? Like your apex predators, your alpha males and females, whatever terminology you want to use. We move towards the challenge. It's not always easy. Like it is a conscious thought. Walking into that dinner or that sales meeting or that pitch, not ready for it, but you know that's the room you got to be in, it is what separates the professionals from the rookies in this business. And I think, to put a little bow on it a little bit on my side, the authenticity piece is if you really believe that you're supposed to be there, then you're supposed to be there. And people pick up on that. People are attracted to confidence, not cockiness, just confident. And it's okay not to know everything too, but you're supposed to be there. If you believe you're supposed to be in that room or at that table, there'll be a seat for you.
At the end of the day, people do business with people.
That's it.
You need some form of a track record. You can't bullshit a track record. You need to have proven, you need to have some proof in the pudding, right? But you're right. If you believe that you can do it, you'll be fine.
That's it. And love and life, man. Like we were talking about, this is a fun game we're in. And, to quote T.S. Lewis, none of us get out of this game alive, right? This is, we're here for a short period of time. We got to enjoy every minute of it. Yeah. And, that's how I kind of approach things. And, we're so fortunate to get to do this, and I'm excited. This podcast, man, is the most fun that I've had in a long time doing this with you. And if nobody ever listens to it, I will do this with you anyways. And
me too.
Hopefully there's some folks out there that watch it and go, yeah, I like that, because they want to see what we're going to talk about next. And, we're going to just keep it real. You and I would call each other out on our BS if we didn't. And, we're hoping to attract some folks, right? Just come sit with us and do the same thing. And industry leaders that matter to us in our business, they're going to be folks from outside of our business realm that bring value to us and people that have influenced us in our life. So, hopefully this is a place for people to pull some positive vibes out of and, just make their day better.
To be honest with you, man, we're just trying to loosen things up.
Yeah.
That's it. We're just trying to loosen some things up. Within our industry, within our friendships, within our ecosystems, within our whatever it is. We're just trying to loosen things up. We're trying to get to know people better. And that was the intention of the podcast. We agreed on this a long time ago, and that's where it stands.
Yeah, we can moderate a panel anytime we want. That's not what we're here for.
Exactly.
Real talk. So,
and don't get me wrong, doesn't mean that we don't love our jobs. No, we love our jobs, right? We love what we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. Right? It's not hard.
Yeah, and it affords us the opportunity to be where we're at today, and to get to have these conversations. I truly do. I talked about Yvonne earlier. I'm blessed that I get to know her and I get to work with her and the company and David Stoffel and JJ and the rest of the group. They are quality human beings that I get to, stand shoulder to shoulder with and do a tough business. So very blessed, man.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, bro. A ton. When's your next event? You going to Florida?
Well, I might be going to Vegas tomorrow, like I said, for that little happy hour. And then we've got, I think the next one, I have to look. I think the next one might be IBS, which is the big builder show here in Vegas coming up in the middle of February, or it might be the end of February. We don't have a lot of travel right now, but for us too, stuff pops up, like the person you mentioned that was at my house for dinner might need something, hey, we've got a bigger opportunity in XYZ market. And I'm on a plane because, sending Zoom invites and emails is great for certain stuff, but, showing up face to face and pressing flesh and looking somebody in the eyes and saying, yeah, I can support you is where it's at. So,
100%.
I'm always ready to jump on a plane.
I couldn't agree with you more. What are we doing about the event for Florida?
For Orlando?
Yep.
Yeah, you and I think we kind of touched on this before. We want to set up a happy hour, right? Something that's different though. And you and I were talking about the idea that, you have to ask questions to get to know who people are instead of just walking in and name tag hunting.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to create an event where it's more about getting to know the people that are in the room and not worried about who they are or what they do. And so you and I are working some framework, I think, or going to talk about setting up a happy hour to where it's just come get to know the folks in your industry. Because that's what we've talked about all day,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to know what your title is. I don't need to know how many markets you can control. Who are you? Tell me about yourself. How'd you get here?
So do you think, see, I'll be honest with you. I don't trust the people to do the job. And I'm just being transparent. Like, for example, like you and I are saying, okay, let's get everyone in a room and no one's allowed to talk about work. I don't trust it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen because people don't have, not everyone has the ability to talk 2 minutes about a table topic.
This is why you and I will have bullhorns and buzzers. And if we hear any work talk, you get bullhorn or buzz. This is going to be authoritarian. This is going to be You do not want to give me the power of the bullhorn because, man, I will abuse it. I will 100% let that power go to my head. No, I think we have to have some fun around that because, creating an environment where we don't want to know what we don't need to know. Just get to know these folks. But it'll be intentional.
What we're going to do is we're going to create groups, and there's going to be different groups, and every group's going to have a security. One security per group, and then you and I will select those security guards, and they're going to have a bullhorn, an air horn, and they're going
There you go.
they're going to.
That's it.
If someone mentions anything about work.
Oh, love it. I love it. Yeah, because get to know these folks, and we will be intentional about who's in the room. It'll be vendors and decision makers because we're there to, support our business. Just like this podcast. This is Patrick and Philip. This isn't, his company, my company. Obviously we want to benefit them and we want to use this as a way for people to get to know us, but this is just us being us. We want that room to be the same, but we'll be intentional about who's in there so that you can get value after someone connects with you. You can have a follow-up and say, hey, I would like to talk to you about, utility valet or flooring or whatnot. So, yeah.
Are we going to do it in a public place? Sorry to cut you off. Or is it going to? Are we going to rent out a room or a hall?
No, let's see. It's Orlando, right? So there's all kinds of fun spaces and places. I'm gonna go with the flow guy. One of the things, to any regular members, customers who are listening to this, you guys get pulled in a million different directions at these shows. You have 10 different dinner offers every night. You have 20 happy hours you can go to. The last thing we want to do is create another I have to RSVP or I have to tell someone no. So we want to create it where it's simple, it's easy. Maybe at the hotel space where the conference is that we're all just sliding in, after 3:00, everyone slides in here for an hour. Make it simple and easy for people to jump in. So that'd be my thought. I mean, you and we're talking this out loud on this cast, but we'll circle back and put some framework around it and have some fun.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Awesome episode. Awesome fake first episode.
Our first second episode was great.
Yeah, exactly. No, we appreciate it. God bless you all. If you guys have any questions or any topics that you want us to cover, feel free to post those in the comments below. And if you find yourself as an interesting candidate and would love to get interviewed by us, be prepared to be between two hats because we're going to come pretty hard and we're going to squeeze the uncomfortability out of it. But it's all for the good. Right, Phil?
Absolutely. Couldn't have said any better.
You bet. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks, Phil.
Peace out.